The moment the door closed behind my husband, a chilling silence filled our home. He was off on another business trip, a frequent occurrence that used to feel normal. But lately, normal had become a knot of anxiety in my stomach. The late-night calls he missed, the vague answers about his schedule, the emotional distance that felt wider than any ocean, it all pointed to something I was too afraid to name. For months, I had been living in a fog of suspicion and self-doubt. Was I imagining things? Was I going crazy? I felt utterly lost, adrift in my own life, in my own home. My world, once so vibrant and full of love, had faded to grey. That evening, I decided I couldn't live in the shadows anymore. I needed proof, something concrete to either confirm my fears or silence them. With trembling hands, I logged into our shared cloud account, my heart pounding against my ribs. I navigated to the photo albums, a place we once filled with memories of laughter and joy. Now, it felt like a minefield. I found a folder I didn't recognize, simply titled Project. My finger hovered over the mouse, a silent battle raging within me. A part of me screamed to close the laptop and pretend I saw nothing, to cling to the fragile hope that I was wrong. But the part of me that craved the truth, no matter how painful, I clicked. And there it was, a flood of images that shattered my world into a million pieces. My husband, smiling, with another woman, not just one or two photos, but dozens. They were at dinner, on a beach, in a hotel room. They looked so happy, so comfortable, so real. Each picture was a dagger to my heart. The life I thought I had was a lie. The man I had promised to love forever was a stranger. The tears I had been holding back for so long finally broke free, a silent, racking sob that shook my entire body. I wasn't just lost anymore, I was completely shattered. The pain was physical, a crushing weight on my chest that made it hard to breathe. I scrolled and scrolled, each image peeling back another layer of deceit, revealing the depth of his betrayal. The next few days were a blur of grief. I barely ate, I barely slept. The house felt like a mausoleum, each room filled with ghosts of a life that was no longer mine. I replayed every memory, every conversation, searching for clues I had missed. The late nights at the office, the weekend conferences, it was all a carefully constructed web of lies. I felt foolish, naive, and so incredibly alone. My friends and family offered their support, but their words felt distant, unable to penetrate the thick wall of pain I had built around myself. How could I explain the depth of this betrayal? How could I articulate the feeling of having the very foundation of my life ripped out from under me? I was adrift in an ocean of sorrow, with no land in sight. I had lost my husband, my marriage, and worst of all, I had lost myself. Just when I felt I had hit rock bottom, there was a knock on the door. It was a gentle, hesitant knock, not the confident rap of my husband. I froze. He wasn't due back for 2 more days. Who could it be? My heart raced with a new kind of fear. Wiping my tear-stained face, I cautiously approached the door and peered through the peephole. Standing on my porch was a man I barely recognized. Though I had seen his face countless times over the past few days, it was the man from the photos. But he wasn't with a woman, he was with my husband. My mind spun. Why were they here together? I opened the door just a crack, my hand trembling on the knob. My husband looked pale and defeated. The other man, whose name I learned was Mark, had a kind, sorrowful look in his eyes. He stepped forward slightly. "Ma'am," he began, his voice soft. "I'm so sorry to intrude. My name is Mark, the woman your husband was with. She's my wife." The words hung in the air, heavy and unbelievable. He explained that he had discovered their affair the same way I had, through a trail of digital breadcrumbs. He had confronted his wife, who confessed everything. Then, he did something I never would have expected. He found my husband, not to fight, but to talk. Mark explained that he, too, had felt lost, betrayed, and utterly broken. But in the midst of his own pain, he realized that anger and revenge wouldn't heal him. He told me he believed we were all victims of their deceit, caught in the storm of lies. He had insisted my husband come home immediately, to face me, to tell me the truth himself. As he spoke, I saw a flicker of something in my husband's eyes, shame. For the first time, he wasn't hiding behind excuses. He was just standing there, exposed and broken. It was a bizarre, surreal moment. The man I thought was my rival's partner was standing on my doorstep, not as an enemy, but as an unlikely ally. In the days that followed, an unexpected connection formed between Mark and me. We were two strangers, bound by the same wound. We talked for hours, sharing our stories, our pain, our confusion. He understood the sleepless nights, the endless loop of what-ifs, the feeling of being erased from your own life. Talking to him was like finding a fellow survivor after a shipwreck. He didn't offer platitudes or easy answers, he just listened. He validated my feelings and shared his own, making me feel less alone in my desolation. We were navigating the same treacherous waters, and in each other, we found a lifeboat. It was a friendship forged in the fires of betrayal, a strange and unexpected source of strength. This newfound support gave me the clarity I needed. I realized my husband's affair wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was about his own choices, his own brokenness. I wasn't the one who was flawed, our marriage was. With this realization came a surge of strength I hadn't felt in years. I was no longer just a victim of his story, I was the author of my own. I told my husband I needed space, that I needed to heal on my own terms. The path forward was uncertain, but for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt a glimmer of hope. The fog was starting to lift, I was no longer lost at sea. I was finally finding my way back to shore, back to myself.